solving equations using addition or subtraction, part 1. So we're finally going to be solving some of our equations. When we're finding a solution for our equation, what we're actually trying to find is a value that you can plug in for that variable that is going to make the entire equation true. So if I look at this example, x plus 3 equals 7, I can try plugging in 3 for x. 3 plus 3 equals 7. Well, if I actually do 3 plus 3, it equals 6. It is not equal to 7. So this value would not make our equation true. It makes our equation false. So this is not a solution for our equation. If I try x equals 4, 4 plus 3 equals 7, and I add 4 plus 3, it actually does equal 7. So in this case, we have a solution. This does make our equation true. When we're trying to solve our equations, we're also going to be using inverse operations. Inverse operations actually undo each other. Addition and subtraction are an example of inverse operations. So if I'm trying to solve this problem, many of you would think about working backwards and doing 7 minus 3 to get the value of x. That's using an inverse operation. And we're going to do that, except we're going to set up our problem a little more algebraically this time. We're actually going to split our equation down the middle, and since we have x plus 3, we're going to subtract 3 from each side, and we'll be left here with x equals 4. We'll talk more about how to do that in one of our examples. So let's first look at checking solutions. So here they're asking us to tell whether the given value is a solution for the equation. So whenever I'm looking at an equation, I'm looking for the variable. In this case, my variable is p. And they want me to plug in 18 for p and see if it's actually a solution for this equation. So instead of p, I'm going to write 18 plus 10 equals 38. And if I do 18 plus 10, I get 28. The two sides are not equal, this is false, and p equals 18 is not a solution for this equation. All right, let's try another one. Here we have 4 times y equals 56. Remember, if I don't have an operation symbol, I'm multiplying. So I'm doing 4 times the value of y. And they say here they want us to try y equals 14. So I'm going to do 4 times 14 equals 56. If I actually do 4 times 14, I get 56. Both sides are equal. This is a true equation, a true solution for this equation. So y equals 14 is a solution. All right, so let's go back to talking about those inverse operations. So the addition property of equality says that when you add the same number to each side of an equation, the two sides remain equal. So if I look at my equation here and I split it kind of down the middle, to get rid of a minus 4, a subtract 4, the opposite would be to add 4. I can do that to both sides of my equation. As long as I do it to both sides, this side and this side, my equation will remain equal. The subtraction property of equality says the same thing about subtracting a number from each side. If I kind of split this down the middle, the opposite of adding 4 is subtracting 4. As long as I subtract 4 from each side, my equation will remain equal. So let's see how this helps us. So if I'm trying to solve an equation using addition here, I'm going to split it kind of in half. The opposite of subtracting 2 would be to add 2, and you want to show this work. So subtracting 2 and adding 2 cancels each other out, and on this side, the only thing I'm left with is x. And on this side, 6 plus 2 equals 8. Now, whenever I'm finished my problem, I also want to check my answer. The way that I'm going to check is I'm going to take this answer that I got and I'm going to plug it back in for x. 8 minus 2 equals 6. 8 minus 2 is 6, so both sides are equal. I can check it off, it worked. I know my answer is correct. All right, let's try another one. So we've got 18 equals x minus 7. I'm going to split it down the middle here. I have minus 7. To get rid of this minus 7, I'm going to add 7 to each side. Cross it out here. On this side, all I'm left with is x, and on this side, I have 25. Now I always want to check my answer. So I'm going to plug this 25 in for x. 25 minus 7 actually equals 18, so both sides are equal. I can check it off. I know my answer is right. So in this problem, I started by adding 2 to each side, and the 2 came from the left side of the equation, and on this one, I was subtracting 7 from each side, and that came from the right side of the equation. I'm deciding where to start by looking for my variable. Since x here was on the left, I started on the left. In this one, since x was on the right, I started on the right. I'm going to do the same thing down here. So I'll split my equation. I'm going to start on the side that actually has my variable, and it has x plus 2. The opposite of adding 2 is going to be to subtract 2. Adding and subtracting 2 cancels out, left with x, and 9 minus 2 gives me 7. Don't forget to check your answer. So I'm going to check it by plugging 7 in for my x. So 7 plus 2 equals 9. 7 plus 2 actually is 9. Both sides are equal. Checks out. All right, one more of these. So I'm going to split it here. This time I'm going to start on this side because my variable's on this side. I have 11 plus x, or x plus 11. So to get rid of plus 11, I'm going to subtract 11 from each side. I'm left with x on this side, and 26 minus 11 is going to leave me with 15. So I'm going to check my answer. So I have 26 equals, instead of x, I'm going to be writing 15. So 11 plus 15. 11 plus 15 does equal 26, so my answer checks out. All right, last one. In the heavyweight class of a professional wrestling, the junior weight limit is 190 pounds. That is my total there, 190 pounds. It's 15 pounds heavier than the lightweight limit. Write and solve an equation to find the weight limit of the lightweight class. So I'm going to pick L, a little cursive L there. This is going to be for the weight limit of the lightweight class, or the light heavyweight class. It's kind of confusing. So the light heavyweight class, it's 15 pounds heavier to get to this one. So I have to add 15. And now I'm going to solve it. I'm going to split it here. I'm going to subtract 15 from each side. That's the opposite of adding 15. And for my lightweight class, I get left with L here, and 190 minus 15 gives me 175. So the weight limit of the lightweight class is 175 pounds.